quite something, isn't it? We're building these incredibly powerful AI systems, giving them more and more autonomy. And yet the people actually creating them admit pretty openly that they don't fully get how they work inside. It's like building a rocket without quite knowing how the engine functions.
That's a great way to put it. And it really gets to what Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, is focused on. His latest essay, which we're digging into, sets out this, well, really ambitious goal.
Yeah.
To basically open up the black box of AI models. He's aiming for 2027.
Right. Opening the black box. Okay. So for you listening in, when we say interpretability for AI, what we really mean is understanding the why.
Exactly. Not just what the AI does, but the reasoning behind its decisions. How did it get to that specific answer or output?
Yeah, tracing the steps. Because just knowing the output isn't enough, is it? We need to understand the process.
Precisely. And look, we know you want to get up to speed on big topics like this quickly, but, properly. So that's what this deep dive is about.
We've gone through Amodei's points, mainly from that TechCrunch piece covering his essay.
Right. We're looking at why interpretability is so important, what makes it so difficult, and, crucially, what Anthropic is suggesting we do about it.
Okay, let's start with the problem itself, this black box. Amodei seems genuinely worried. He actually said, and I'm quoting here, "I am very concerned about deploying such systems without a better handle on interpretability. I consider it basically unacceptable for humanity to be totally ignorant of how they work." That's strong language.
It is. And it really frames the stakes, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. These AI systems are going to be woven into everything. Our economies, tech infrastructure, maybe even national security down the line.
So if they're making decisions more independently.
We absolutely need to understand the logic behind those decisions,
Yeah.
right? It feels fundamental.
It feels like just responsible development, really. The article also had that quote from Chris Olah at Anthropic that AI models are grown more than they are built. I found that really striking.
It's a very useful analogy, I think.
What does it mean practically, though?
Well, it means researchers are getting really good at training these huge networks. You feed them tons of data, adjust the settings, iterate, and performance gets better.
Okay.
But often, that improvement happens without us really understanding how the intelligence is sort of emerging inside the network. We see the results, better capabilities, but the specific mechanisms, often still a mystery.
So we can make it better, but we can't pinpoint exactly why that change worked internally.
That's often the case, yeah. It's like observing an ecosystem, you see it thrive, but mapping every single interaction is incredibly complex, so making targeted safety fixes is really, really hard.
That makes sense. It reminds me of that example they mentioned about OpenAI's newer models, the O3 and O4 Mini. Apparently, they're hallucinating more, making things up more often, and the company itself isn't entirely sure why that's happening.
Exactly. And Amodei points out this lack of understanding goes deep. Like, why does a generative AI pick those specific words when summarizing something? Or why does it make a random error when it's usually accurate?
We often just don't have the granular explanation.
Right. It's like trying to debug code when you can only see the input and the output, but nothing in between.
Okay, so the problem's clear. The black box. But let's get into why opening it is so vital. Why should you, listening now, really care about this? It's more than just, like, intellectual curiosity, right?
Absolutely. It goes straight to your desire for, real understanding, not just surface knowledge. Interpretability isn't just neat. It's foundational for AI's future.
How so?
Well, Amodei talks about the risk of getting to artificial general intelligence AGI. He calls it, like, a country of geniuses in a data center.
Wow.
Imagine having that kind of power, making huge decisions affecting us all, but having zero insight into how it thinks. If one of those geniuses makes a biased or harmful decision, how would we even know why, let alone fix it, if we can't see the process?
That is. Yeah, that's a bit scary. And the article definitely hit the safety angle hard, too.
Definitely. The idea is if we can actually look inside these models, we can hopefully spot problems early. Things like tendencies to lie or seek power or just general weaknesses.
Find the flaws before they cause real trouble.
Exactly. We need to catch those things before these systems are running critical infrastructure or, deeply integrated everywhere.
It's like AI checkups. Preventative care. The article mentioned this long-term goal of, brain scans or MRIs for AI.
Jeez.
Sounds very sci-fi.
It does sound futuristic, yeah. But it shows the ambition. The core idea is to develop tools that let us examine the AI's internal state, similar to how brain scans help us understand the human brain.
How far off is that?
Amodei thinks maybe 5 to 10 years for something really sophisticated. but he sees it as essential for safe deployment later on.
And it's not just about preventing bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
He mentioned potential commercial upsides, too.
For sure. Imagine being able to say exactly why your AI financial model recommended a certain trade.
Ah, right. Or why the drug discovery AI flagged that specific molecule.
Exactly. That kind of transparency builds trust and could unlock huge value in all sorts of industries. It's not just safety, it's also about better innovation and application.
Okay, so that's the why. Let's talk about the how. What is Anthropic actually doing about this? The article calls them a pioneering company in mechanistic interpretability.
They really are. They've apparently made some early but important breakthroughs in tracing how their models get to answers, like following the information flow through the network's connections.
And they found these things called circuits, pathways inside the AI.
Yeah, think of them as specific computational pathways. The example given was finding a circuit that helps the AI understand which U.S. cities are in which states.
Okay, so finding specific functions within the network, like finding a specific tool in a massive, messy workshop.
Kind of, yeah. Identifying these as like finding subroutines in a giant, complex piece of software that nobody fully documented.
That makes sense. It shows it's possible, at least.
It does. But, and this is a big but, the article stresses they've only found a relatively small number so far.
And how many do they think there are?
They estimate there could be millions of these circuits in the big models.
Millions.
Yeah.
Seriously. Wow. Okay, that puts the scale of this into perspective. That's a huge task.
It really underscores the challenge. But it's good they're investing heavily in it, right? And
Yeah.
even backing startups in the field shows commitment.
Absolutely. And it fits with their broader safety focus. The article mentioned their stance on that California AI bill, SB 1047.
Right. While some big tech companies were hesitant, Anthropic gave it modest support.
Which kind of reinforces their position on wanting responsible development.
Exactly.
Now, Amodei isn't just keeping this internal to Anthropic, is he? He's calling for others to step up, too.
That's a key part of his message, yeah. He's directly calling out other big players, like OpenAI and Google DeepMind.
Asking them to do what?
To seriously ramp up their own interpretability research. He sees it as a shared responsibility for the whole field, basically, not just one company's job.
Yeah, and he's also looking towards government, mentioning light touch regulations.
Uh-huh. Mostly around transparency, it seems, like suggesting companies developing these powerful AI models should have to disclose their safety and security practices.
And the idea being.
To encourage more accountability and push everyone to be more proactive about understanding and managing the risks. Make safety a bit more visible.
Got it. There was also that bit about export controls on chips to China. How does that fit in? It seems a bit different.
Well, his reasoning there is about preventing an out-of-control global AI race.
Wow.
The thinking is, if you limit access to the absolute top-end computing power, you might slow down the development of extremely powerful AI in places where maybe safety and interpretability aren't the top priorities.
So trying to encourage a more measured, globally responsible pace.
That seems to be the idea behind it, yes, a geopolitical angle on managing AI risk.
Okay, let's try and bring this all together then. We've got these super powerful AI models, increasingly autonomous.
Yeah.
But they're essentially black boxes,
Yeah.
even to the folks building them.
Right. And Anthropic CEO Amodei is sounding the alarm. He's saying we urgently need interpretability. We need to understand how they work inside.
Not just for safety, though that's huge, but also for better understanding and innovation down the line.
Exactly. He set that ambitious 2027 goal for Anthropic to be able to reliably spot most major problems in AI models.
And they're working on it through this circuits research.
And calling on the whole industry and maybe even government to get serious about it too, because
Yeah.
it's a massive challenge.
It really highlights how much complexity is hidden inside these machines, doesn't it? We see the amazing outputs, but understanding the journey to get there, that's the real frontier now.
It is. And it leaves us with a pretty big question for you to think about. What happens if we don't get reliable interpretability sorted out by the time AI is running really critical parts of our world? What kind of trust can we actually have? And what kind of oversight do we need if the core reasoning of these powerful systems stays essentially a mystery?